and welcome to today's session of the Work-Life Balance Summit. And I'm so excited to have with us Sue Monhait, who has been consulting retail and online businesses for over 25 years and has started two six-figure multi-businesses of her own. She has been identified as an industry leader and a trendsetter and describes her audiences as gifters, bakers, crafters, and makers. I love that. She helps people turn a hobby or craft into a profitable business. As an extension, she works with existing business owners who have gotten stuck and are looking for that one thing that's needed for them to gain traction and move ahead. Sue also hosts a very popular podcast called Gift Biz Unwrapped. Welcome, Sue. Glad you're here.
Staci, I'm so excited to be here. This is one of my favorite things to do. So yay, it's a happy day.
Most definitely, most definitely. Well, we're talking about work-life balance during the summit and how you can live a more intentional life and kind of gain that control in different areas of your life. So I'm curious, how do you live a more intentional life with as busy as you are?
So I'm going to be honest. When you approached me for this, I'm like, do I have a work-life balance? I'm not so sure. But as I thought about it, yes, I do. I think my philosophy really is that it's always a challenge, but you have to consciously decide what life you're in at any given time, right? I mean, I've got my businesses, of course, we have family life, all these things compete with your time because time's finite, and the way you choose to live within that time, you have to decide on, right? And so really what I've gotten to with this whole challenging work-life balance thing is when you consciously decide how you're going to spend your time, you need to live, or I should say, I have decided to live 100% in that time. So when I'm here at the office, when I'm talking with you on this summit, right? I'm not thinking about what am I going to cook for dinner? Like, did my child just make it driving back to Colorado? Like all the sideline things. I'm thinking about where I am in the moment. And I think that's really important because if you're doing things you love, whether it's business or personal, you want to actually be there and be experiencing it and enjoying it and not be stressing out about what's happening on this other side. If you're always one foot in both places, you're never really enjoying or experiencing where you are in that moment. And I hope that doesn't sound cliche because that's really how I like to live my life. So while I'm here, I am totally into my business, focused on clients, focused on speaking, on summits or whatever it is. But then also when I'm home, if I'm cooking or gardening or whatever, I'm not also every 3 minutes going and checking emails.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really living in my personal life then. Now, yes, if there's a major crisis on one side or another, the wall isn't a brick wall all the way so you can't pass over it, right? But I really try to be intentionally 100% wherever I'm committing my time at that point. So if that makes sense, hopefully that makes sense.
Totally makes sense.
And I'm at peace with it. I mean, this is what I've been doing for a while now. And, it makes me work with being all in, getting the most done I can because I'm so focused and knowing that that's where I've decided I'm going to be for that certain amount of time. So
that makes sense. What about time blocking? Do you find that helps you?
I do time block. I actually started doing this a year ago, January. So January 2017. And I've coined it the power of purpose. And my time blocking means I'm very intent with and consciously thinking about exactly what task I'm doing at any given time. So obviously we're here. I'm going to just use the summit as an example. And I really don't have control. I mean, once we decided this was what we're going to do, of course I'm 100% in, right? But this is my priority for this time, right? Now, when I get off, I have a resume that I need to review and I want to get in touch with someone for an open position. I consciously think through to myself, is this what I should be doing at this time? Like, is this the right thing to do? And the answer is yes. There are some times when I'm doing a project, let's say I'm writing a blog or something, and I'm like 2 sentences away from writing the end of it, but popcorn sounds like awful good right at that time, right? Or, something like that. I will not allow myself, to your point about time blocking, I kind of project block. That's why the power of purpose is project blocking. And I'll say, okay, this project, it should take me about a half an hour to do. And I'll be darned if I get down to the end of that blog and I've got like the final paragraph I need to do, the popcorn is going to just have to wait, right? It's not as good if I have to go to the bathroom, but then I have to whip off those sentences really fast, right? But that's how I will use time blocking. And I think it's true that, is it Parkinson's theory that your time expands to the amount of time you give a project? Consequently, it condenses to the amount of time you give a project to. Mm-hmm. So I live by that.
That's true. So. I work in project mode too. I think that's when I excel most, is when I'm time blocking by the project versus, the task may vary, but
right.
Right. And having certain number of weeks or months or whatever the case may be to be working on a project too.
True. Yeah. Some of them are not as easy as just getting done in one afternoon, right?
Wish they were.
At which point you break it into all these little mini projects so you can feel accomplishment and feel like it's moving along, right? And you don't get overwhelmed by the whole big thing.
Yeah.
Good. Those are scary. That's scary. The little ones are easy to handle.
Trying to eat the whole elephant at once.
Exactly.
That's what my husband would say.
Now, if it was a big fat chocolate sundae,
maybe.
I could do that.
So what is the biggest obstacle in achieving intentional lifestyle?
Do I need to be honest with you?
I hope so.
Okay. All right. I think for me, I love what I do for my business. So honestly, when I'm working on my business, a lot of the time I'm not feeling like I'm working. I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Not always, but most of the time. And there's that, I'll call it intentional creep, like time will go into maybe personal time, but my kids, let's face it, my kids are both out of the house. My husband's a workaholic like I am. And so he's doing his thing. So I have a choice of what my thing is. And very often it will creep back into doing business, which is, I'm fine with it because I'm enjoying what I'm doing. So that's kind of challenging. That's my honesty statement. I keep creeping back. But I'll tell you, like when let's say I decide, okay, Sue, you're not working this afternoon. Like, let's say it's a Saturday afternoon and I've gardened for a while. I've done whatever. And I have another half hour, 20 minutes. To be very honest, I am not going to go and look at that People magazine. I am going to pull up my email and see, if someone that I'm following has some really good pointers for me or something I can learn. I mean, that's where I want to go, So I don't force myself to say, no, I'm going to look at that People magazine instead of looking at business just because I'm supposed to have a balance. That doesn't make sense to me either. So.
Yeah, I totally get that. I find that if it's something I'm so passionate about, which I love what I do, like you do, I just get sucked in, and that's where my time is.
The only time I think that's a problem is if someone else, like if you're doing that instead of a commitment you made to somebody else, or if relationships are starting to suffer. If you're not there for your children, or your husband isn't feeling like there's enough time, or things like that, or relationships with your girlfriends get in trouble, then you may not, if you're not conscious about it, you might not realize it until you're out of friends. And that would be a really sad thing. So
setting aside that time for social life as well as the important relationships, basically, that
right
keep growing with.
Right. I think I'm challenged with that a little bit because a lot of my family doesn't live near me. So making commitments to being able to spend time together either means they're going to come visit, which is like big chunks of time then, days, which is hard when you're running a business, or you're traveling somewhere else, which is a little bit easier, kind of. So that's a little bit challenging, because then when I'm thinking of, okay, I haven't seen so-and-so for quite a while, it's not just like, oh, come over for dinner. It's like, okay, I'm coming to visit, jumping on the plane, getting a ticket, that has to be a more intentional thing. So that's more difficult, but consciously I need to do it. I love my family and my friends who don't live in town. So
makes total sense.
Yeah.
So how does your expertise contribute to work-life balance?
That's a hard one because I just, like I was saying earlier, I don't ever feel like I've really accomplished work-life balance. For me, it is always a work in progress. In fact, my husband asked me a couple weekends ago, like, Sue, you really enjoying working as much as you do? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Is that okay? Is that okay? And he, sure. But it is always a struggle because, I do, my mindset has been, because I'm such an achiever, my mindset has been, if I'm not spending time on the business, what am I not progressing? How much longer is it going to take to progress to my goal? Now I can do that because the kids are out of school, right? I wouldn't have been able to do that earlier. So, but I think, it comes back to all being a choice. Now, in terms of my expertise, I've got 2 businesses going. So I've got to be careful because I need to make sure I'm focusing equally or the right amount on the one that's making the most money versus the one that I'm growing too. So I think a lot of it all comes down to awareness and being really strategic and intentional. And I learned that from my corporate world, because by golly, you had sales numbers, and if you weren't hitting your sales numbers, so we had to be making calls. We had to be going seeing clients. You couldn't be back doing reports or the easy stuff, right? If you were going to survive. So
do you think
kind of a spin on what we were talking about, maybe?
Yeah. Do you think you and I have it in common that we both started off in the corporate world and then we ended up here?
Yeah.
Do you find it easier to have more control over that intentional living, having your own business versus living or working in the corporate world? Or is it just a different set of challenges and wins?
I had a lot of flexibility when I was in the corporate world. So I think for me, it's the same, but I don't think it is for most people. I was in a good position because I was working for a company that was growing really fast, and they wanted to put me into management, but they didn't want to release me from my largest accounts. So I worked for 2 different people who were very respectful of my time. So I was always asked, can you attend this meeting, on one side versus another? So my time, and that actually has helped me too, because really prioritize, because I needed to keep I needed to be doing well in both jobs, right? I needed to be working with my sales team, and I needed to make sure these big accounts were happy. So, but that was me deciding, and I was going to live or die by the decisions and the results that I got, kind of like what we do here with our businesses, right? We live and die with our decisions, or we adjust quickly, or, whichever.
Exactly. So I understand you're working on some exciting projects, or at least one big project.
Oh, are we going there?
We're going there.
Yeah, I am. I have, I guess we were talking a little bit earlier, about splitting responsibilities. I've been splitting also between podcasts and masterminds and, the ribbon print company, which is my other business, hence all this ribbon that you're seeing behind. This is my favorite color. My spillover ribbon comes into my office. You can't see it, but I've got yellow, orange, and lime green in here. Everything else goes on the other side.
I only see yellow.
Here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Little colorful play for the day.
Yeah.
But so that's where I was talking about having to divide between different things. So I just wanted to finish that up since we were talking about it. And also because I'm hesitating telling you my big project. But I can't because I said it to the world on my podcast that I think when you're airing this, it'll be 3 weeks ago, but it's actually this week when we're talking about this. I'm writing a book. And I've been writing a book for, a year and a half, 2 years now. Mm-hmm. Finally, to get over a hurdle. And I guess this is good too for work-life balance. This book I've been talking about forever. I start a little bit, I get to a stopping point, and then something else takes priority, et cetera, et cetera. Finally, I'm like, this just has to get off my back. I've got to get this done. I know that the information is good because I'm talking to people about these things all the time. I just need to get this thing done. So what did I do? I didn't do, like anybody to delegate to, but I needed to delegate myself to somebody. So I hired a coach, a writing coach, not really to tell me how to write, but to get me moving. And so on my podcast a couple of weeks ago, I also told everybody I was doing this. So now I'm accountable. So now it's out, which is a great tip. I mean, once you say it, there's more of that push that you've got to do it, right? You've got to finish it up, right? So that's in the works. Very nerve-wracking because I've not ever done a book before. I mean, I've published tons of content, not a book like this where it'll be actual paperback and Kindle and, all of that type of thing. I've done online courses, I've done podcasts, all of that, but I haven't done this. So that's what's up. And quite honestly, it has messed up with my work-life balance. I will tell you that. But that was okay because it was my choice to be all in, because sometimes if you're working on a project and you want to complete something, you don't have a choice. You have to be all in, right?
You do.
I told my husband, because I was working on it in the kitchen, because I think that also with projects, sometimes work-life balance, I didn't need to be here at the office doing it. I was home at my kitchen table writing a lot of this, or out on the front porch writing when it was warmer out, because I told you this has been going on for a long time. But I would tell him now, when you walk through the kitchen, don't you talk to me. Don't you even look at me, because I'll get distracted and I won't write. I'll get every excuse in the book to walk away. Right? Yeah, that's what he would do. So
well, that's fabulous. Congratulations.
Thank you. But changing environments was my point, is that will help you with your creativity and productivity and getting some things done if you're stuck. That really helped me out a lot. So. And I feel like being at home is kind of work-life balance, because, I had candles lit while I was writing when it was snowing, and, just a different environment, different atmosphere is good, helps.
So do you have an off-site location, or is this in your home?
No, this is an office building. I'm really fortunate because I'm in the little historic district of our community.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really fun because at lunchtime we can go down to street level. The coffee shop's right below me, so that's always a good thing. And in the summer, there's tables outside. You can dine al fresco, and the movie theaters down. Like after work, we can go out. Sometimes Lori and I, my assistant and I, will go for a margarita on a Friday afternoon at 3. This is part of work-life balance. That's important, right?
It is.
Sometimes it's like, Lori, are you just at a stopping point? Are you ready to be done for the week? We're out of here. Let's go.
That's great.
Yeah. So I like having I'd have to have the office for all the inventory we have here. What I just showed you with ribbon is maybe like, I don't know, a 20% of what we have, a fifth of what we have, maybe less, something like that. But we're running out of space here too. So anyway, so there's no way this could be at home. Not a chance.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So you have something special that you want to share with our audience. What gift do you have for our work-life balance audience?
Yeah, I was torn between 2 things to offer you guys. And I just, I'm kind of thinking of like, who's going to be out there behind the camera that I'm looking at right now, and what would be the most valuable thing that I could give everybody. And I went back and forth. Staci and I talked about it, and we decided on this one. And it is free entry to a mini course that I have that's called Networking Ninja. And now remember, my audience are mostly gifters, bakers, crafters, makers, right? And a lot of people kind of like us too, right? I think I straddle both because I'm business, but I'm also crafty. You know, we're into our craft, into our art, and not necessarily as vocal or out there, although you would probably see that I am. But I get a lot of people who, you know, making the craft, doing the business, all of that sounds good until you get to the point where you have to sell, right? I mean, that's yucky, sleazy, icky, you know, all of that. And so a lot of people just go right to social media, right?
Yeah.
With what's going on with social media these days and the Facebook algorithm and all of that, plus we all know you're not supposed to directly just flat out buy my stuff, right, on social media. I always tell people the best way to get business the fastest is networking, is going out to join your chamber of commerce, or if you have a women's group or BNI group, or, you know, whatever it is, being face to face with people, particularly nowadays, because so many people don't, right? But it's freaky, it's scary. Networking equals sales equals fear and scariness and all of that. So I put together this course that teaches you, number one, the groundwork of networking, just taking it from the beginning, which I'm sure a lot of people who are watching here already know. But I also talk about the scary things about networking. Like, what do you do when you walk into a room and, oh my gosh, you look around and you don't know anybody? You know, even in a social event, like a cocktail party, you're at a friend's house or whatever, and it's a bigger party. Like, what do you do? How do you approach that situation? So we talk through that. There's a specific thing to do that makes it so much easier. I also talk about that elevator speech that you have to do where you get up and you talk about your business in front of like all these people you don't know. I have a template there. Actually, I have a few templates that are just fill in the blanks. So you don't have to worry about that anymore. So just a number of different things that really can help you get out and approach networking in a non-scary way. And honestly, you guys, it's the best way to get business fast, honestly and truly. So let me give you the link. If you're interested in that, it's Gift Biz Unwrapped. That's my podcast name too, by the way, you guys. Gift Biz Unwrapped /work-life balance. Okay, that will bring you over to, it's a sales page, but you guys don't have to buy it. It's super cheap, and I did that intentionally because I want to get this out in everybody's hands. But your special coupon code, because I wanted to do that for Staci, is Coffee on Me. So the discount code is Coffee on Me, and again, the link is giftbizunwrapped.com /work-life balance.
That's great, and I appreciate you doing that. We'll also have a link at the bottom that you can click to go directly to that. And then also your podcast will have a link to that as well.
Good. If
you just look below the video, you should be able to see that. So I am so excited to have this time with you, Sue. I really do appreciate you being here. I think our audience really did benefit from learning more from you. And also, you're a valuable resource. Your podcast is out there and has so much wonderful information on it.
Thank you.
I know you have much to offer.
Well, I was thrilled when you reached out to me, and it was so fun. I'm so glad we had that opportunistic time to have dinner together. And now look, we're continuing to stay in touch, right? So that's awesome.
It's networking.
Networking. Hello. Yes. That was good. I liked how you did that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Sue. And we'll see you on our next episode in the Work-Life Balance Summit.
Bye, everybody.